remind the speakers to please be mindful of your 10-minute presentation, after which you give 5 minutes for Q&A. I will prompt you when you have 1 minute remaining of your presentation, so you can wrap up, and then we go right ahead to Q&A. Okay. So again, good afternoon, and let us all please welcome Professor Sabrina Flora, Directorate General of Health Services in Dhaka, Bangladesh, to give us the COVID situation in Bangladesh. Dr. Flora, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon and good evening to other parts of the world. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about Bangladesh and share our experience in COVID-19, especially focusing on the contribution of our APTP graduates and fellows. I'm given 10 minutes only to share our 10-month experience. So maybe I would miss a lot of issues, but I will go quickly and highlight the contribution my graduates and my fellows have been doing for the whole period. Next slide, please. So before starting, little bit about our country. As you know, Bangladesh is geographically is a very small country, but population size-wise, it's big. We are one of the most densely populated country, especially in the city areas. We specifically mentioned that Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh, it's very, very densely populated, which actually pose additional challenge for us to contain COVID-19. Next slide, please. Although today I am representing Director General's office, but basically the COVID-19 during the COVID-19 containment activities, I was the Director of Institute of Epidemiology, Disease Control and Research, which is the mandated institute for surveillance activity and outbreak and emergency response. In addition to that, we develop workforce and also conduct public researches. I'm mentioning about the institute because at the initial phase of COVID-19, IDCR led the whole containment activity in Bangladesh. Next slide, please. As one of the objective of the institute is to develop human resource, IDCR started field epidemiology training program in 2012, and we have actually 2 levels of field epidemiology training program. One is advanced for 2 years and one is frontline for 2 to 3 months. Next slide, please. It's a new program. We are not as old as Thailand or many other countries. So because it launched in 2013, we have only recruited 7 cohorts, and out of which we have 30 graduates and 24 are medical graduates and 6 are veterinary graduates, and currently we have 12 fellows. Next slide, please. Out of the frontline, as I mentioned that we have frontline program, this is started little later in 2016, and we had already 10 cohorts through this cohort program. We have 169 graduates and out of which 106 medical graduates, and currently we have 24 fellows. Next slide, please. In our containment activity, if you can see, 77% of the advanced graduates and almost half of the frontline graduates took active part in pandemic containment. Here I meant the involvement in the containment as those who are involved in epidemiological activities, but others also took part. In clinical containment activities. That means in the clinical service. Next slide, please. Let us focus on COVID-19 situation. I will not be very elaborate in this presentation, as you all can have this data on our website and also on WHO website, what is happening in Bangladesh. Next slide, please. Just you can see that the first case was detected on, actually better to say reported on 8th March, and gradually we had increased number of cases, which increased up to most of the cases we found in May and June, and gradually it started to go down. Currently, case number went down and also the positivity rate is going down, but as in other countries, we can see little, if you can see the graph, this is kind of, we are in a static position, which epidemiologically I don't think it's a very good sign, because when declining trend is very much useful, but when it is in a static position, plateau, there is always chance to go up. And if we see the country situation, initially we had this panic among the people, better to say, but currently people are not don't have any kind of fear amongst themselves, so they are considering these as one kind of seasonal common cold. So the health behavior, specifically the mask use has been going down. So we are getting prepared to prevent the second wave. Next slide. So now I would little describe what kind of containment measure we have taken nationally. So as I mentioned already, first case was reported on 8th March, and our government immediately took decision to contain or to restrict the activities. So schools were closed on 17th March. Next slide. Next, please. On March 26th, general holiday was declared, which included restriction on office, business, institution, public gathering, domestic travel, everything. And also restriction of international traveling was being done. And these containment, the so-called lockdown was in action up to 31st May in 2020. Next slide, please. Next, please. Then we went, instead of having national kind of containment, we started to have zone approach. So we categorized our the situation, country situation, into red, yellow, and green zone based on the number of cases or frequency of cases. So based on that, we had localized kind of management. In red zones, we had strict containment. In the yellow zone, kind of little bit of relaxation were there, but it was close to red. And in the green zones, we are also kind of protecting so that people, infected persons do not travel from red to yellow zone to green zone. Next, please. Now I would focus on how our FETP graduates and fellows contributed. I have divided this into the pre-case finding period and later. So as I say, first case was detected in March. So from January to March, actually we were preparing ourselves if we get any kind of cases, and to prevent entry of cases, or better to say, importation of cases from other countries. Next slide, please. So from January to March, basically we started to develop different guidelines, which includes quarantine guideline, isolation guideline, home management guideline, and also how the screening guidelines. We started to screen at the airport, and from 3rd February, we started to do everyday press briefing, face to face, where basically I was the spokesperson at that first time on behalf of IEDCR and also DG Health and Ministry of Health, and WHO also supported us. In not only WHO, in addition to WHO, all development partners were also on board to help us in developing all these issues. Next, please. we started our event-based surveillance through hotline services. Actually, IDCR has one hotline service year-round to detect any kind of information about any emergency event. So based on that, we started our hotline service during this pandemic containment also. And I could mention here that we had actually 4 lines to receive these calls, and during this time period, more than 40,000 calls were received through 4 numbers only, and all these calls are received by our FETP fellows and graduates. And it was really miserable for them. Even they couldn't get time to sleep or take proper rest even. Next slide, please. So if you see the distribution of the hotline calls over the period of time, so initially IDCR had only the hotline number. So whenever we declared the first case, from few hundreds to calls jumped up to thousands of calls. So it became difficult for us. So we included more numbers into our hotline service. From 4, we increased it up to 78 lines. And gradually, Ministry of Health and Director General Office also started these hotline services. So gradually, IDCR started to receive less calls, specifically after May, June, when cases numbers were going down a little bit, and also panic was over from more or less from people's minds. Next slide, please. The patients who are traveling back from many different countries, including foreigners and Bangladeshi, we had our cell phone-based surveillance system. So we started to follow up them up to 14 days, whether they develop any kind of signs and symptoms, so that we can contain them or detect them as early as possible. Next slide, please. You can see what we have done during this time period through our interactive voice response system and also our cell phone-based surveillance system. This is before the case detection. Next slide, please. Then we also had our formal quarantine activities. Those who came back from specifically Wuhan, China, we had our formal quarantine, and this is actually the first time we had this large kind of quarantine and formal institutional quarantine system we have seen in Bangladesh. And not only our FETP graduates, actually this is one of the greatest example of our One Health approach. Multi-sectoral support we received during this time period. But our fellows did their duty on a roster basis, day and night, at the quarantine center. Next slide, please. So after case detection, when first case was detected, our activities little bit started to be changed. Next slide, please. So we started to collect information and form national COVID-19 database, and our graduates and fellows were actively involved in updating all the patient information and follow up every patient up to 14 days, and also collecting information on their contacts. Next slide, please. So these case investigation and contact tracing were the major part of our activity during this time period. Next slide, please. So during this case investigation, wherever we got cluster of cases, we immediately involved in that area, contain that cluster, and start to have active case searching so that we can do the test. At the initial phase, we used to test all the contacts whenever we got different clusters. Next slide, please. Then from May to July, during this time period, actually before that, more or less cases were more observed in Dhaka city. Few number of cases were being seen outside Dhaka, but from May to July, cases are being reported in large number in all districts of Bangladesh. Next slide, please. So during that period, we changed, better to say updated our activity. We start to share the epidemiological data to district and different divisions. Next slide. District and divisions actually started to have their containment activity, contact tracing and case investigation, but our fellows were also actively involved. Basically, specifically where we are getting cluster cases, like as for example, one district is called Gaibandha, where our fellows were there. Similar, we had other few districts also where our fellows were physically located, situated, present, and supervised all the containment activities up there, along with our local level health managers. Next slide, please. Next slide, you can see the number of cases of that district. Next slide. Next slide. We used to share all these mobility data to the local level managers so that they can take care whether when patients are moving, are not in the isolation, they moved out of quarantine. We inform the local level health managers. Through them, actually law enforcing agencies came to know about these movements, and they tried to contain them within their containment zone. Then we started to train nationwide health level and health workers on case investigation and contact tracing, so that this contact tracing activity can be strengthened. Next slide, please. And we provided.
Professor, you have to please wrap up.
Okay, I will be very quick. So this is in every epidemiological support in the containment zone, our fellows are involved. Next slide, please. I will be very quick. Next slide. Next slide. After that period, our fellows have been started to do implementation research and involved in different studies so that we can find out the causes and do organize our containment activity in relation to what to do in relation to have evidence-based policy. Next slide, please. Next slide. This is one of our success story. This is different experience success stories of FDP's fellows. You can go through these. You can have this on the definite website. Next slide. Next slide. So we had few challenges also. As I mentioned that we have only 30 graduates and 12 fellows. They had to work 24/7. And this COVID situation, I think one of the most challenges is I read somewhere that missing signs. So we got different kind of information at different time period, specifically whether asymptomatic cases can transmit infection or not. This kind of infection were there. So this was one kind of challenge for us to disseminate the information to the general people, which actually we all know that during pandemic there will be a lot of uncertainty, and these actually give, as because of workload, our fellows had risk of infection. Actually, initially they had to do contact tracing physically, so few of them got infected. Their stress and anxiety level was very high, and they spent a lot of sleepless nights. And through this presentation, actually, I want to express on behalf of our country our gratitude so to all the FETP graduates and fellows for being with us, and urge them to be with us to continue to this containment program until and unless Bangladesh and the whole world is COVID is controlled globally. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor Flora. So just one very, very quick question with one very, very quick answer. So question from QY Pang. How is testing carried out for Rohingya refugees with support from NGOs, IGOs, and local government bodies that are stationed in CXB? Very short answer, Professor, please.
I couldn't hear. Yeah, I didn't hear last part, but so far I understand this is about the Rohingyas,
Yes.
the forcibly displaced Myanmar nationals. As you know, we have a very good organized health program in that area, and we have a designated laboratory in that area, which is actually field laboratory of our institute. So we started to collect samples from the very beginning whenever we get suspected cases, and we had a very good surveillance system there. So therefore, it was actually very few cases are being reported in that area, although we were very much anxious about this high density, highly dense population there. But because of our active case searching, active surveillance, and also immediate response, we were fortunate enough that we didn't get that much cases.
Thank you, Professor Flora. The thing really speaks for itself. So a round of applause for Bangladesh. Okay.